Good morning. Good morning. How is everybody? Warren, so this is the first of the BitAngels in Wyoming.
Yes, congratulations. We're officially opening a BitAngels Wyoming chapter. Been at it for some time. It's great that it coincides with your hackathon, and good to be here. How's the hackathon going?
Well, we'll get started with that on Friday, but I truly appreciate, this would not have happened without me meeting you.
Thank you. Yeah.
It was being able to have that really fun conversation we had, and it just made so much sense to open up a BitAngels in Wyoming. So
Right.
Here we are.
I'm very excited about what you're going to be able to do up there. You've got a kind of a unique situation with you're the blockchain state. You got the best crypto and banking laws, as far as I can tell. Wait, I should have a disclaimer that is not that is not legal or banking advice there. But for my untrained opinion, you guys are doing super. And making the legal environment really good for the rest of us. I know I'm advising a couple of companies that are based in Wyoming, whether or not they're sitting there, and a really exciting time. So yeah, and the BitAngels is perfect combination because we're talking to the investors and startups in this community, and we're growing the network every day of people who are looking at this long term. We got plenty of the people who have made money on a crypto that blew up, or trading or exchanges and all that thing, which is important. But what I really like about what I see from the hackathon, and why I wanted to participate in that, is that you're looking at actual real jobs for real people, and building real businesses that are going to be around long term. So congratulations to Wyoming.
Yeah, thank you. Right now, the legislators are in the select committee thinking up and hearing testimony from individuals about new laws that need to come onto the books. Right. We had the first bank charter with Kraken. They announced a couple of days ago. Yep. So the Speedy Bank Charter, the very first crypto Speedy Bank Charter in the United States, is open for business.
Great. Oh, I wish I had the right thing on my Zoom interface here where I could make in the video the balloons go up or something. Well, we'll go for that. So it looks like we're about 5 minutes in. Most people that are attending should be here by now. Welcome. Looking good. And
welcome, everyone.
Yeah, should we talk about? Let's say hello again, and once your turn, you say hello, and then maybe I can review who's going to be talking.
Sure enough. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is the inaugural event of the Wyoming chapter of BitAngels. If you don't know what BitAngels is, just think about taking a look at the website and the history of what these angel investors have put their money towards is things that are on the landscape today. So Warren, can you give us a little background on how BitAngels started?
Yeah, that's what I'm here for, is pushing BitAngels, right? And BitAngels is a fantastic organization. Started off as a couple of guys, Michael Turpin and David Johnson, decided they wanted to talk to other people investing in Bitcoin. And back in 2013, it was Bitcoin. It wasn't crypto. It's the one. And so there were already investments. They were investing in mining and whatnot. But what I really like about it is the story that they had a young kid come on named Vitalik, told him about his idea for improving on what crypto did with a little thing called Ethereum. And the early BitAngels had a fund and an investment, and let's just say they got it cheaper than it sells for today. And they've helped launch 100 cryptocurrencies, and that became a live event when the people wanted to get together that Michael Turpin put on with the Transform group called Coin Agenda. So when there was, like, for instance, a Money 2020 event happening, they held something to the side of it, and pretty soon it became its own thing. us now, gosh, we're going on, I think, the 13th or 14th, maybe 12th, I don't know, some number like that. They just keep growing, and they've been held all over the world. This year, of course, everything's virtual. And so sometime 2019 came up with the idea of having local chapters so investors could get together, have real world discussions. And of course, you know, the situation this year has changed that, and we've gone all virtual. So you will be, I think, our second actual virtual launch of chapters that didn't exist before the COVID-19. And we have a whole lot more in the pipeline, which is interesting. I've attended several from sitting in the same chair, not having to travel. And I am looking forward to get back to traveling for them. But that's what it is. That you join as a member and you get access to all the video presentations that get made at various groups. And of course, discounts on things like Coin Agenda, and there's some other goodies in there. You can find out about it at BitAngels.network. And you know, all the upcoming events, a lot of the events are free to attend real time, and then the membership will get you into more depth. And membership's designed to be a paid membership for accredited investors. Right now it's open till the end of the year. Again, you know, another blessing of COVID. We're opening it up and letting more people in. So you can apply there at bitangels.network. And no reason, if you're interested in what we're doing here, you should be a member. So make sure you join right away. And then when we have these meetings, we sometimes have a keynote. Today, I believe you have 3 presentations from companies. So there'll be some discussions, and then usually the presentations are the heart of it. And I'd say on average, at least 2 of the 3 end up being companies I want to find out more about. So it's a really good batting average for what there is, because you know, some of us won't be interested in whatever happens. So today, what do we have? We have 3. You want to go ahead and do the introduction?
Yeah, I will do the introductions because first we're going to have the keynote with Josh Denny. And if you don't know,
we have a keynote. I just had it labeled wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah. If you don't know Josh Denny, the Inevitable Group, rags to riches, rags to riches, rags to riches kinds of story for entrepreneurs. We've all been through one iteration of that or not, but this is a very enjoyable story to hear, and very inspirational. So we're really looking forward to hearing from Josh. And he'll be on here in just a few seconds. So Josh, we're going to turn it over to you, and you're going to wow us with all your war stories.
Just real quick, if you have a question, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead and type it in, and we'll be asking after Josh gets done.
All right. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Warren. What an incredible honor to be a part of this event today, to be involved with what you guys are doing with BitAngels, with what Wyoming's doing in general with the crypto world. I think it's extraordinary, and I think everyone should take notice and participate fully. Today, you have some incredible panelists, some great presentations that are ahead, and I have the privilege of kind of setting the stage a little bit as someone who has become an entrepreneur over the last 20 plus years of my life. I've been involved with various companies at different stages, and I've also been able to move into the investment category, where I, as an angel investor myself, have deployed capital in the various different verticals, whether it's aviation, pharmaceutical. You know, we've got in different technologies that are very disruptive in the space, and of course I've had a lot of losers. I've had some pretty good winners, but most of them have been not very successful. I think you learn more from losing than you do from winning, for sure. And the whole event today is about how you can get better. I believe the future is brighter and better than ever, but we have to build it. I believe we have a responsibility to bring our best to the marketplace. I think that there's an unprecedented opportunity today in becoming an entrepreneur and understanding blockchain technologies in specifically understanding cryptocurrencies, how they work, how they're going to affect business in the future, how they're going to affect your lives. I know some of you who are attending, you're brand new in the entrepreneurial world, you're just getting your start, and some of you have already been down the road quite a bit, whether you've already taken a concept or idea from your head, manifested it into some physical reality, and taken that concept out, formed a company around it, and then exited or built a legacy brand. Congratulations if you've done that. And if you're just getting started, I want to share a little story with you that, I kind of give you a little bit of background on myself and maybe give you some hope, some encouragement to move into a brighter future, and give you some perhaps tools that you can utilize to build a better future for yourself, for your family, for your community, and for pretty much all of us, because I believe you have that power and you have that ability to do it. I made a lot of mistakes in high school, like not going. Unfortunately, I didn't graduate. I didn't go to college. And I thought as a result of my lack of formal education, I couldn't be successful and I wouldn't be able to do anything, much less, build a business. And good fortune came my way when I got in an environment similar to this, where I met other people that were moving forward in life, that were achieving some extraordinary successes. And it changed things for me drastically. It gave me an introduction to personal development, to professional development in the form of books, seminars, and events similar to this. That's why it's, I think, incredibly important that you're a part of this, that you participate fully, that you're engaged in the discussion, that you listen to the presentations that are going to precede my talk here, because I think everything that's said and everything and all the people that you're able to meet in these environments can have a massive impact on your life, and they certainly have for me. I started off small, just trying to figure out how I could be successful. I always wanted to be successful. I didn't know what that actually looked like, but once I started reading and showing up at events, again, like this, it started changing the way I thought. And sometimes, especially as entrepreneurs, you start thinking a certain way. And in order for you to solve the problems that are existing today, we can't have the same type of thinking that we existed in yesterday or before. We need to change our thinking radically. We need to be willing to be open and listen. And that's the first part of it. And that started changing things for me as I started opening up my mind and realizing that, I didn't have all the answers, that even though I thought I did, I didn't. And I was willing to start listening to other people, showing up and being consistent. So it changed things drastically for me, but my success didn't happen overnight. It took several years of being consistent before I started learning how to generate profits. And my mentor taught me it's one thing to make money. It's another thing to learn to keep it. And there's a whole other thing learning how to compound it. And especially when it comes to business, so we're financial stewards. We have to be responsible for the revenue that we generate. And as entrepreneurs, you're pretty much the last person to eat if you're doing it right. Your vendors get paid first, your employees get paid first. Everyone gets paid before you. You're the last one to eat. And you gotta remember that that's the way it is. And that's what you signed up for. And if you have that attitude, you have that desire to genuinely bring real value to the marketplace, not to subtract or not to take from the marketplace, but to bring value to the marketplace as an entrepreneur, I think that's when you'll achieve genuine success, not just financially speaking, but fulfillment wise, where you're going to feel good about what you do. You're going to wake up early, not because the alarm's going off, but because you have a passion and you have a purpose in your life. And you jump out of bed and you're like, man, I can't wait to start the day. And then you never go to sleep. You fall asleep because you're just exhausted. You're exhausted from everything you put out into that vision that you're trying to create and make a reality. And, I've been homeless twice in my life. I kind of push all the chips in and I've gone after it with all that I have. And I've failed several times. And just to know that that's okay. I know it doesn't seem like it right now. And you may be in a space in your business where it doesn't seem like it's working. Where it's like, man, I'm doing everything, but it's not working. In Think and Grow Rich, which I encourage you to read if you haven't already. I imagine most of you have already read that great book by Napoleon Hill. But he said almost all the people he interviewed that were wildly successful, it came one step after defeat had almost completely taken them over. And it's true. And sometimes, you know, you got to realize that we have to change our thinking. What we thought we wanted, what we thought we were going after, we may have to go after a different way. And you're going to learn that, I believe, today. And you learn that by being an investor. For those who've already succeeded, being a part of BitAngels is going to be great because you're going to hear so many pitches. You're going to hear so many different incredible concepts and ideas that are going to be presented. You're going to be able to follow these entrepreneurs and what they're doing and how they're changing the future. So here's my main message today. Okay, it's three things. Very simple, and we're gonna get on with this incredible event. First is practice. Okay, so here's some tools. Practice. The second first is study. Second is practice. Third is teach. So let's go to practice. Like whatever it is that you are wanting to achieve, whatever your business model is, you want to study everything you can. I'm sorry, we're going to go to study. I'm messing it up. Study everything you possibly can. If you don't understand about blockchain technology, study it. There's so much information out there you can get for free. Study everything you can. Study about cryptocurrencies. It is changing the way we interact with commerce. It's changing the way we interact with one another. It is changing the world as we know it. And if you don't study, if you don't get ahead of this, you're going to be left behind, and it's going to be increasingly difficult to catch up. So I'm encouraging you right now, study. Being a part of this event today is, I believe, a huge blessing for you because you're going to get to study. You're going to probably get some ideas and some concepts that are going to give you some foundational information to start going down a rabbit hole and start learning. So study everything you can. It's vitally important. Okay. Number two, practice. It's not important enough just to study or to stay in the classroom. You got to practice. My mentor said an hour in the field can be worth 20 hours in the classroom. You got to get out there and apply, especially as an entrepreneur, as a business owner. You got to study it and then go out there and do it. Know that you're going to be bad before you get good. It's going to be horrible. You know, your first presentation, your first pitch, okay, it's going to probably be the worst ever. You know, you're going to look at yourself and go, man, I wouldn't even buy from me. I've been there. I know it. But look, nothing is going to get you better more than doing it. You got to get out there and do your presentation. I tell you what, when I have a new idea or a new concept, I'll go pitch that thing 100 times before I start to evaluate, you know, whether it's good or bad. I need to get it out there, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to adjust. I'm going to adjust, and I'm going to adjust. And I know there's a lot of people that are probably in attendance. You've seen me do that over the last few months in my new project. You know, as the chairman of the Inaugural group, you know, we have a clear mission to help 1 million families earn a living wage by 2025, and that's no small task. We're curating some of the best opportunities, some incredible ideas from around the world, and presenting them and offering them to people and giving them the option to be able to participate so they can generate revenue for them and their families. Not just here in America where I live or where this is being broadcasted from, but from some of the emerging markets like India and Africa, Asia, you know, places all over the world that need innovation, that need help, they need new ideas and concepts. So I'm out there, I'm sharing my ideas, and the first time I did it, it was horrible, but you just got to do it. And over time, it gets better, and it gets better because you start trimming the fat. You start stripping away the things that don't matter, the things that aren't as relevant to your audience. And you start adjusting to the things that are important by getting real-time feedback. Don't be afraid to ask people after you've done a presentation, hey, what was good? What was bad? What resonated with you? What would you leave out? People are pretty generous with giving you their feedback. Now, you have to take it with a grain of salt because not everyone knows what they're talking about when they're giving feedback. But if you do it enough, you're going to hear a pattern. And once you hear the pattern, you go, okay, I certainly am not going to say that again. I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, this worked well. Okay, let me add to this. That's in the field. That's in the practice. That's in the doing. See, when you're doing it over and over again, and for some of the panelists that you're going to be presenting your ideas and your concepts, I'm excited to hear them. I'm excited to listen to what you got. But just know that for those of you that haven't been there yet, or for those of you that are, it's just continual study and practice and practice and practice. And then once you get good, you get into the teach mode. Teaching, which is contribution, it's giving back. You know what, I have a lot of respect for Rich and Warren, and these guys they're giving back to the community. They're giving back. They're taking their wealth of knowledge and their years of experience in the field, in the practice, after the years of study and continual practice. And now they're teaching that what they know, and that galvanizes. It galvanizes that that spirit. It galvanizes that which you know. It gives you it gives you confidence. It gives you, I think, a feeling of fulfillment, knowing that when you share with another and with genuine desire to help them become better, you raise the community, you raise the entrepreneur community, you raise it, you help it to become better. And I think that's our job, that's our mission, to go out there, become all we can, add value to the marketplace, then turn around and help the next generation. Help them and lift them up. You know, in martial arts, you know, to become a grand master, it's the highest level that you can achieve in the martial art world. And the only way to achieve it is by teaching your student so well that your student is able to overtake you, that your student excels you, becomes better than you. That is awesome. That is how we build a brighter future. That's how we give back to our community, raise the standards, and help those around us to be able to become better and to build a better future. And I think we owe it. We owe it to our children. We owe it to our communities, and we owe it to our society. And I'm honored to be a part of this. I'm grateful for the invitation. Rich, Warren, thank you so much. And I'll hand it back to you guys. I'll be looking forward to an incredible event.
Really good. Rich, you back with us? Rich, you're muted.
There you go.
I have questions. I think I could have this go on with this discussion for hours. Is one of my favorites. I mean, I taught myself, and I really learned it by teaching other people, as you were saying. But I think we need to hear some more about how you're going to get to 1 million entrepreneurs. Tell us more about that project.
Well, you know, I got my start in what's called network marketing, and I know it has a bad connotation around the world. People don't understand it, but it's really one of the better ways where the average person can start a business with very little money, very little capital outlay, get real mentorship, and gain sales skills, gain skills on how to recruit. I don't care if you're starting I've got friends all over the map in different entrepreneur business, from tech sectors to restaurants to, you name it, the automobile industry. Everyone had to start with understanding how to sell. If you have to sell your concept, you have to sell your idea to somebody, get them to buy into it. If you don't have capital, which most of us don't start out at, we don't start with a bunch of money typically, you got to go sell someone who has some money on the idea that you know what you're doing, so you can take their money. Okay, that's one. Two, you have to recruit other people to participate with you, to either sell for you or work for you or whatever. You have to learn recruiting skills. Then you have to learn how to lead these people. How do you lead them? How do you get out of the way and surround yourself with people smarter than you? All these skills are learned in the network marketing world. Now, I believe most companies, or a lot of companies, they mean well, but don't typically have great products or services. And there are some that do. There's some that do incredibly well. So, you know, that's one area that I focus on, because I believe it's a great starting point for people. So I focus on some incredible opportunities that allow people to start for next to nothing and then grow within an environment to generate capital and cash flow, where they can then invest it in other more traditional businesses, which, like I have done. Okay, that's one. And there's affiliate marketing, there's internet marketing, there's e-commerce, there's drop shipping. There's all these new ways that people can learn to generate revenue from their smartphone, from their phone, from their home. And so our job is to curate them, find what are real, what are good. You know, and with 25 years being in this business model, I've been able to, I've met a lot of the people all over the world, so I kind of know how to filter them out. and then present them in a way, kind of putting our stamp of approval on it, saying, look, we've vetted these things thoroughly. We believe in them. We know the people behind them. We know their business model. We believe they're bringing real value to the marketplace. And so more of kind of like a good housekeeping, so to speak, seal, and providing and curating opportunities to people all over the world in various verticals. That's how we're going to do it. That's our mission, or at least that's our.
That's quite a mission statement. It's a goal, and basically it goes back to something I teach all the time: a difference between mindset and not having a growth attitude versus having a fixed attitude. If you think your life is fixed the way that it's going, then you're going to wait to see what the news says, what the government says, what the teacher says, so what mom says, anybody telling you what to do next in your life. And the growth mindset really opens that up. And I just read a study yesterday about somebody testing. They had kids, school kids. They were asking questions, and it's basically they have them do a math problem, and they tell one set that they're doing well, and the other set, because of who they are, and the other set that they that they worked really hard and got a good answer. And it turns out that they then there's another test after that, and the results are that telling somebody you're wonderful is not near the same as giving them credit for their efforts. And it's really good to put somebody in a growth mindset. And I know from my experience with watching network marketing and some other business models, it's there. It's interesting that there's one thing you can do that regardless of how much money you have, you can go out and find ways to help other people. As soon as you start helping other people, anything can grow. And I think every startup needs to have that attitude. Great. Yeah. Rich, any other questions?
Yeah, Josh, I really appreciated your sentiments around what skills you learned, and those are important skills. Networking, recruiting, and sales, right? And typically, so I teach some sales classes, and one thing that I help people understand is that they have been selling all their life. They've been selling mom and dad the reason they need a new toy. And so I get them to start thinking about how they already know how to do this and not allow sales or the word sales to be a fear for them, because they already know how to do it. Now, reaching deep inside of themselves, they can bring that stuff out with, as you said, some education. Right, so I truly appreciate that really is foundational, and that has been foundational for me in all my entrepreneurial endeavors. So, I go back as far back as Warren, I'm sure, to when they were starting to put silicon on chips, and in those days, you had to learn how to sell ideas and so forth. And so, what would you say is your best advice on selling, Josh?
My best advice on selling is show up. Most people are scared to death just to start. I remember the first sales presentation. I must have sat outside that office for an hour. I showed up early and I was late. I was sweating. I didn't even want to go in. I was so scared to death. And I ended up making some excuse why I couldn't be there, being sick, something super lame. And I was so guilty, and I felt so bad about that the next time I did show up, and I did it just because I said I would, and then it made me feel a little better just doing it, even though it was horrible. I left there going, I'm so surprised that guy, he just, he was an insurance salesman. And he was kind to me, and he just sat there and watched me. I was going through like a flip chart presentation, and it was horrible. And I'd say show up. The first thing is just show up and do it. You're knowing that you're going to be bad before you're good, and that's okay. It's the only way to get good. You're not going to get good just showing up day one. And so that'd be first: show up and do it, and be authentic. Be you. Nobody likes that guy or that gal, the plastic person trying to, don't be that. You don't need to be that person. Don't be someone you're not. People love authenticity. People buy from authenticity. And now you can just show up, and I would just be honest. Look, I'm not good at this. I'm going to do my best. Let me get through this. And I would sell the points that I believed in, and I would share that. And most people that been through it, they were cool. And if they saw value, they'd buy. If they didn't see value, they'd probably give me a referral. And then I learned the power of referrals and the power of, number one, do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. Be consistent. Okay. Show up, do the thing. Okay. And be yourself, be authentic. And if you can do those things, selling will start to be simple and start to be easy and it'll start to be fun.
Yes, exactly. And that brings up a good point about authenticity. Really, the beginning of all of this is getting to know yourself and really understanding who you are first and foremost. Because guess what? You've been having conversations with people your whole life. And you can read people. You all know how to do it, right? You read people all the time. And so what you have to do is then take that skill set and the ideas of how to influence people, because you've done this. Say in gym class, when you wanted to run the ball instead of somebody else, you convinced them that, hey, it should be my turn, right? And so you use these skills that you've been practicing your whole life and just put them to work and forget about the mysterious, it's sales. It's not really sales, it's humans communicating, right?
Well, you beat a whole lot of odds to even get into this world, you were the lucky sperm that fertilized the egg and got started here. And it goes through that. I mean, we have success. We are awesome. I think that that's really weird that I said we are awesome and then changed my sentence. But yes, we are awesome. You mentioned a couple of times about those first times being terrible. Well, think about it. You want everything you do in the future to be better than what you did in the past. That means everything in the past is worse than what you're going to do in the future. It doesn't mean that you don't show up and try to be as awesome as you can be, put yourself out there and everything, and you will get better over time. And we all know that. The buyer already knows that you're not the world's best salesman because he's got his own, self-esteem issues going on or whatever. Or she thinks that, hey, oh no, I've got to talk to another salesman that is going to be no good. And you come in, you be authentic, and you relate with that person on one level or another. You're okay. You're both human beings struggling through life, and you got to this point that you're sitting face to face and having the conversation. And I want to add one more thing to that. The big difference in my life is when I stopped being a salesman and started finding buyers, and this is pre-internet. I did a lot of things before I did any of the kind of e-commerce-ish kind of things we can do today. But and so I've always embraced the new. But what I found back then is that people don't change. What people want is they want to buy something. No one wants to be sold. Everybody wants to buy. And today there are billions of people out there looking for whatever it is you have to offer. So sales as a salesman just doesn't make any sense anymore. Cold calls, I'm going to knock on doors whether I want to or not. It's easy today because there are so many people in need. And if you help somebody, you're going to get, what do they say? You can get anything you want out of life if you help enough other people get what they want.
To that point, Warren, helping people buy is typically one of the mantras I use in my sales education, right? Because there's a way to think about qualifying a customer, and instead of like, oh, I got to go qualify that customer, it's like, wait a minute, is that customer qualified for your product or service? That's the way you think about this. And so all you're really trying to do is discover, are they qualified for what I offer? And if you're doing that, then the selling part is not even real. It's like just closing it,
We used to call that like, you go to Macy's and they recommend gimbals and there's something wrong with that. Or Miracle on 34th Street story of, it was oh no, what are you doing wrong by sending people to the other store? It just turns out that today there are so many other stores and there are so many people wanting things. If you're just directing traffic, you're doing pretty good. And you do that by networking, by having the conversations, by listening, and you find out. And you don't want to waste your time with people that don't want what you're selling. So it's no longer these personalities are still there. And I've been guilty myself of pushing something, whether or not somebody wants it, just get
So Josh,
vomiting out a lot of facts about something.
so Josh, question. Networking, they're really, really important. Tell us about it.
Networking, your net worth is your network. And that's a true statement. My mother used to always say, birds of a feather flock together, and meaning that you want to surround yourself with the people who you want to be like. So if you start networking, and what I learned through network marketing in general is how to market through networks, meaning how do I build relationships? How do I genuinely create real relationships with other people and work my way up the social hierarchy? So I'm looking, because when you're starting at a place where you don't have, maybe you're not in the best economic situation, you want to be able to bring value to others. See, in the beginning, my associations didn't really I most likely didn't want me around. Okay, I didn't bring much value to them. But what I was able to do is when I got in their vicinity, I would ask them for advice. Most people that have influence want to provide advice. I'd ask about books to read, and I would read those books. The next time I saw that person, I could then have a conversation with them about that book, so I could find common ground, and I could see their eyes light up. And then again, most people, like I know I am today, when I see a young person who has drive, who has desire, who has willingness to go work, I want to help them. I'm sure Warren, Rich, you feel the same way. So networking is showing up, building relationships, and what that means isn't like trying to be a fake friend or flattery. It means genuinely trying to add value to another person. How do I bring value to this person? To me, that's networking. When I get into a room or I show up at events like this, especially when it's physical events, I can't wait for this COVID thing to get over, because I would rather be on a stage talking to you personally, shaking your hand, looking you in the eye. I'm sure you guys would feel the same. And then afterwards mingling, because there's something about human connection. When we get in a room together and we're able to share our life stories and bring value to one another, and I find out what's important to you and what your business is doing. And then I know someone else who needs that, and I make a connection, right? When you're thinking of networking in those terms, it becomes simpler and easier. The more people you meet, find out what's important to them. By finding out their story, ask them about themselves. Most people love to tell their story. So let them tell you their story. They'll tell you what's important to them, and then you can find a way to add value to them. And if you do that, you'll build a real relationship. But when you have something that has value, that you can bring value with, you can call them and you guys can do business with one another. Anyway, that's how I view networking.
That's an attitude you can take in just virtually every relationship there is. It's funny, somebody was telling me about hackers stealing. Well, it's actually, I was watching a documentary on SIM swaps, and which we know a little bit about, working with Michael Turpin and his lawsuit against AT&T. But so I'm thinking about this bad guy, and they caught the hacker. And what is his motivation? If he gets, $100 million in ill-gotten gain, and it's all stored in Bitcoin, so it's safe, what's he going to do with it without interacting with another person? As soon as you start interacting with other people, and by the way, that's how they got him. He was bragging. They found one brag about how much he stole, and it matched up with the amount of money. You can't not interact with other people. So your attitude that you're talking about is how you treat yourself, your family. I want what's best for my children. I want what's best for my employees. I want what's best for my coworkers, my network. And I've learned to put that before what's best for me. And when I do it, it works. And obviously it's working for you too, Josh.
So Josh, about finding the right opportunities, all these entrepreneurs, are working towards one particular thing, and there's lots of opportunities to chase. How do you hone in on the right opportunities, and how do you know if you're getting the right kind of traction?
I think what's important for everyone to realize is that opportunity is only an opportunity if you believe in it. You got to find something you have some type of belief in. You got to believe that this is, for at least for me, and I think a lot of people probably feel the same way. find something you're passionate about. Find something that you go, yes, I like this. I can believe in the mission behind this, because that'll give you I think the propulsion to move forward. And so I think it's unique to everyone. That's why I don't think it's a one size fits all. Like, hey, this is the way, the truth, and the life type of thing. I think it's different for everyone. And I think that's what's beautiful about all of us as humans. You know, we all bring something different, and collectively it makes this magical world we get to live in. That's why I think the future is amazing, because all of us have a different idea of what's important, of what we believe we should do. And I think there's a lot of different things. I think the most important thing is, because we live in such an abundant world today, there's so many opportunities, especially for those of us who live in America. I mean, opportunity is everywhere. I think it's, you know, kind of honing out all the other opportunities and finding one, okay, one that you can go, I'm going to put my flag here, go get that thing going, and get it cash flowing, get it to a space where you're no longer necessary, whether it's your own business that you're building and you've got the right leadership in place that's taking that over. You've got a CEO that you're maybe breaking off a nice piece of equity or a nice win for, that they're running that company now for you, so you can go pursue other opportunities. Because some of us as entrepreneurs, we're scattered. We're all over the place. We're like, man, it's like shiny object syndrome, man. You're like, this is awesome. Well, that's awesome too, you know? And it's a problem for some of us. So I don't think there's a one size fits all, Rich. You know, Warren, I think you got to find something you're passionate in and stick with it. Stay with it. Stay the course until you got it going. And then you can move on to something else. That's my suggestion.
Let me make a note of that as being the 4,000th and 10th person that's told me that, and I need to hear it every day. Oh, look, over there, a shiny object. It's really hard to pay attention in this call because there's something else going on over there. No, it's one of the great things about doing something like this is that you entirely have to focus. I can't write an email while I'm doing this. I have to pay attention. Once I pay attention, I go like, wow, Josh has got a lot of good stuff to tell me. And it makes me think of other things that I've learned or should know already and really get going on it. And so, boy, if you're out there watching this, pay attention, do what Josh says, and find something you want to do that'll help other people. And you'll know you got the right opportunity when it feels good helping the other people. And as long as you're focused on what you can do to make the world a better place, you're going to eat well, especially in the emerging technology. Can I just say, we're in a time of such great acceleration coming that we're not going to forget the pandemic, but it isn't going to be the defining thing of the 20s. Sooner or later, it'll be gone. And what we'll be talking about is, wow, how fast is the world changing? How will I ever keep up with all that's coming? And ultimately abundance. And that's my thing. We'll get into that another day, how we're helping everybody in the whole planet. But for those watching today, you got to have a career, you got to help yourself. And it all comes from figuring out how to take this technology and do some good in the world.
Okay, with that, we're going to be jumping into our presentations from some entrepreneurs. So before we do that, Josh, do you have any final words?
I'll say this in closing. Number one, I'm grateful to be here. I'm excited to see the presentations. As an investor, I think the same rules apply. You invest in things that you feel passionate about. However, I think you're going to see some dynamic presentations. So I take some notes and be prepared to talk with these individuals. I think they have great concepts, great ideas, and I'm excited to participate. So thanks so much again. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful event.
Great. So hey, in networking, you got to tell us, how do we connect with you?
Oh, I'm easily found. I'm at Joshua Denny, JOSHUADENNE, on all social platforms. My first and last name, just like it says on the screen, at Joshua Denny. All social platforms, I can be found there. InevitableChallenge.com. You can see how you can participate with the challenge group. We have it's a free community where we share ideas openly, and there are some opportunities to participate with should you choose, but most of it's education based, and we pour it into a variety of
good. And stick around. I'm sure there'll be some discussion or something in the Q&A in the chat, and we'll get them to you while you're on here. And people can talk to you later too.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, if you need to know more about what we're doing here, it's bitangels.network. You can find out about our events and what's coming up next. And of course, we're participating as part of the Wyoming Blockchain Stampede. And Rich, say something about that, and I'll be quiet while you introduce the next one.
Okay, well, the Stampede is going on from the 23rd all the way to the 24th of October. Most of the program stuff is between now and Sunday. So with that, we've got 3 entrepreneurs ready to go. And we have the first one up is Unbiased, and it's Sukesh Tedla. And we'd like to welcome him to give his 10-minute presentation, after which there'll be questions.
Thank you, Rich, and thank you, Josh, for a motivating presentation. I'm really inspired now. So yeah, let's get started. Unbiased. So at Unbiased, we are building solutions to fight ethical challenges in the AI and big data industry. So before presenting the solution, let me present the problems within this industry today. So I classify the problems into three main categories. So first thing is the access to quality data sets. Second thing is the issues related to data privacy, fairness, and bias. And the third category is the data provenance and regulations. So let's see how we are solving these issues at Unbiased today. So we're trying to build a one-stop shop platform, which basically ensures, which brings the essence of blockchain and transparency and privacy into the AI industry. So as you can see on the screen, it kind of represents a high-level view of different steps involved in building an AI algorithm, starting from data collection to data cleansing to actually building a model. So what we are doing is we are building a framework, like the underlying framework, which kind of facilitates these interactions between different organizations, developers, and normal people. So using blockchain technology, we are building this end-to-end flow to create a complete audit trail of different events that takes place in the life cycle of an AI development. So let's see. So our first service that we offer is a data collection service. So in this example, let's take, so there is an autonomous vehicle company, so who's building self-driving cars. So there is a developer who needs a data set of 20,000 images, say. So these images are representing traffic signs, for example, in India, right? So they come to the platform, they create a request, and they pay the relevant fees. And that request is distributed to all the people who matches those requirements in India, for instance. And each and every interaction that is happening here is being documented on blockchain at the same time. So at the end of the day, the customers are not only getting the data set, but they're getting actual blockchain certificates, a complete transparency, insights, and so forth. So in comparison to existing service providers in this industry, we offer a transparent solution and ethical solution. So I spoke quickly about transparency, right? Let me show you how it looks. So in this picture, you see here, this is a task where you can see different annotations on a particular image. If you scroll down here, you can actually see different kind of interactions that happen in relation to this image over the time. So starting from creating that particular task to actually someone working on the task, someone classifying where is the car in this image. And here you have the blockchain proof links as well. And on the right side of my screen, you can see the different steps involved and what happens behind the scenes in each and every, like in building an AI algorithm. So you have a complete auditability. So when you're getting a data set, you have a complete auditability. And now we talk about the provenance. So this is one of the biggest issues because you can find many data sets on the internet today, but the real information that is missing is what can this data set be used for? Who built this data set? Who contributed to this data set? What kind of biases does this data set have? So this information is missing today in the industry. And we are bringing that provenance with the blockchain blockchain logging and to the AI and big data industry. With these certificates, we are basically improving the value of each and every data set that is being generated and basically adding more, making it more like an asset to different organizations. So I want to present you one of the other interesting services that we are offering, which is ethics as a service. What does that mean? So let's say you are building a loan classifying algorithm or for giving loans to people. So you have a data set of men and women of different age groups and backgrounds and color and so forth. So you bring this data set to our platform, you upload it, and then we just provide you a complete deeper insight whether your data set has bias or not. In addition to that, we can also provide an blockchain authenticity proof, which basically can be later used to show to regulators that you're actually taking necessary steps in order to ensure that there is fairness in these AI models. And actually, I think in the US, in a couple of states, there is a mandate right now that you have to get your algorithms audited as well. And in EU, there are potential regulations that are coming in the near future. So this service basically helps address those issues. So then the next missing part, or like the last final part in this puzzle, is the marketplace, right? So today there are many marketplaces out there where you can buy and sell data and exchange algorithms and so forth. So what's unique about our marketplace is that, as it says on the screen, you can train your AI model and solve problems using data you cannot see. What does this mean? So let's take an example of healthcare industry, right? So there's lots of data today you can't really see or get access to because of the privacy concerns. So in this case, it is kind of limiting the innovation in this AI industry. So what can we do right now is that using our platform, we can enable a solution where the healthcare providers doesn't really have to share the data, but can still contribute towards AI innovation in a secured environment. So as a platform, we are providing the technology, we are facilitating the cash flow, and we are also providing the development tools so that different organizations, different people can interact in relation to the data, but in a secure and privacy-oriented way. So here is another use case from the mobility industry. So there is a lots of data being generated from the sensors in the car today. So we did some analysis or study. For instance, we can use the sensor data from the climate sensor data from the cars to actually identify patterns, and which could potentially use to fight climate change or improve smart city initiatives across different cities. And also this can create a new data economy for the car manufacturers, because today more and more cost are within this mobility industry is the data cost or the telecom cost. So they're trying to find a solution, or like trying to find an alternative revenue models, and this could be an alternative revenue model. So our business model is simple. So we provide the platform, we facilitate the technology, and we connect the value creators with the customers. So yeah, so we have different services, right? So some of our services where we charge fees from 10 to 20%, and some of our services where we charge fee from 30 to 45%. In terms of traction, we are awarded as the best AI and machine learning startup of the year during last 2019 in the Nordic region. And we were also recognized during Malta AI and Blockchain Summit during 2019 fall and spring as well. So finally, yeah, we are currently fundraising. We are looking for €500,000 in exchange for 10% equity. And this fund is mainly used to scale the operations and put much more effort into marketing and sales. We are a bootstrapped startup. We are two founders who funded the startup so far, and we also got local grants, innovation grants, and so forth. And we are currently in the alpha stage. We are launching in 2 weeks' time. So we launched our beta back in March, and we are currently finalizing some testing so that we can launch alpha in the 2 weeks. Yeah, so in regards to our team and partners, so today we have a core team of 6 people based in India, Sweden, and also in addition to that, we have a tech team of more than 10 people working out of India and different locations. And we're also supported by NVIDIA Inception Program, DMS Accelerator, AWS Activate, Swedish Blockchain Association. I'm actually myself the chairman of Swedish Blockchain Association as well. we're also supported by Telos Foundation. We are also one of the founding members of Telos Blockchain Network. We are actively involved in the EOS.io channels as well. So with that, I just want to conclude saying, in God we trust and all others bring data. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to the questions.
Ah, great. I see you're building on Telos. Why is it Telos? Why is that the blockchain?
As I mentioned, like I'm one of the founding members of Telos Blockchain Network, and we built Telos with a lot of values that we initially envisioned with EOS blockchain. So when we started working with Telos, it was kind of like a completely bootstrapped community effort, and the values with what Telos exists today is completely unique. And also the technology wise, it really stands out compared to other blockchains out there. Though the market cap and all the other cryptocurrency values are low, from a technology standpoint, we believe that Telos is much more advanced than the other competing blockchains out there.
So what sector of society do you think would benefit most?
So mainly we are focusing on, of course, like the AI and the big data industry today. So some of the sectors that we are speaking right now is, of course, the mobility sector, because in Sweden, where we are located, like the headquarters, it's actively much more mobility and automotive sector, with Volvo being the headquarters here in Gothenburg. So there are many mobility companies here locally, so we are focusing on that sector. But I think some of the innovations that we're coming up with, the privacy-oriented AI and auditability solutions, we believe healthcare and fintech sector can be really beneficial for them because they can't really share the data because of all the regulations today. So those sectors where we can basically unlock the potential of data with these privacy-based solutions.
Okay, go ahead, Warren.
Yeah, so your customer, your industry are the people that are building the other things, which then we know will be for the social good or not. And what is your dream here? What's the what do you see? How do you see the world changing in 5 years because of Unbiased?
So when we started initially with Unbiased back in 2018, our initial idea or mission was to fight fake news and misinformation. When we started working with that concept and idea, we soon ran into many challenges because of the way the digital society works today and people's opinion and the social media and everything, right? So when we started evaluating and talking with people, so one of the fundamental things was, why should I trust you, or why should I trust this algorithm, or why should I trust this opinion, and so forth. So and at the same time I got into the blockchain space, and that kind of collided with me, and that's when we started with the Unbiased idea. And along this journey during the last 1-2 years, what we did was evaluated in each and every stage, how can we really fight this problem or challenge. And with that mission at core, we started addressing this issue on a much deeper level, like the technology level. And that's why we started with this first offering. So in next 5 years, the way I see it is it will be much more open and transparent, and there will be a much more demand for auditable solutions in the industry because of all the regulations that we are seeing. I think we will be moving in that direction.
So if I was to ask you how you will attain traction, what would you tell me?
Well, we kind of already have attained traction because during the last 1 year, even though we didn't have a product out in the market yet, because of our mission and because of our approach and the authenticity of the idea, we have attracted like people from all over the world reaching out to us, but also we were featured in China, we were featured in US. I was actually personally there in China during last year. So we were invited by the local governments in China as well, because they see a potential in the idea that we're building. But to speak more on a financial terms or like a customer standpoint, we are already in talks with a couple of customers in this mobility industry and healthcare industry who are interested in using the solutions. So we are already seeing that early traction right now.
Which area seems to be most fruitful right now? Because healthcare is a good place to be going.
Well, from what we see within the AI and big data space, I think mobility is kind of like driving most of this industry right now. And almost all the AI companies are somehow kind of focusing towards that because of all self-driving cars and so forth. And the next second industry that we see is, of course, the customer service industry, where more and more speech algorithms, chatbots, and that's growing it's becoming a new normal nowadays. So we see these two industries, and these are the two industries we are focusing on as well, along with the healthcare sector.
And which one is most promising of those three for you right now?
For us right now is the mobility sector, because we have the local community here so that we can easily scale and grow.
Okay, assuming you were able to get a nice windfall of investment, how would you deploy it towards mobility?
So we are already, as I mentioned, we are already in talks with a couple of mobility players here in the industry. So we already started working with consortiums as well. For example, Mobi is one of the consortiums where more than 150 mobility organizations are there today. I'm actually participating in one of the working groups there. So in a way, we are aligned with that vision, and with this funding, we will basically take our existing product and improve and add on more focused sales and more focused functionalities related to the mobility sector, but also build more specific sales channels related to that sector.
Awesome. So getting in touch with you?
Well, you can reach me on contact@unbiased.cc or contact@unbiased.ml. So you can find us on all social media platforms. You can reach out to me directly on LinkedIn, for instance, or like Gmail. Yeah, you will find me.
All right. Well, we're ready for the next presentation. Thank you so much, Sukesh.
Thank you, Rich, for giving me the opportunity for presenting here today. Thank you very much.
Nice. Yeah. We're extremely excited to have our next presenter as well, John Taylor from Opolis. And without any further ado, we're just going to introduce him. If you don't know John, think about ETH Denver, and John's the guy behind it.
Something like that. Yeah, thanks for having me, Rich. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the group today and share a little bit of progress and update on Opolis and kind of what we're doing. You did shill ETH Denver, so like, we do, I live in Denver, so we very much support our friends to the north in Wyoming, and this is our third time around supporting the Stampede and Wyo Hackathon. So like, of course, this isn't just a Wyoming thing. Colorado is not really far behind in a lot of ways. We've copied some things that Wyoming's done. We've done some things on our own. We do host the world's largest Ethereum-based Web3 hackathon here in Denver every year. 2020, we had 2,500 people from 75 countries, I think is the actual number. So if you haven't participated before, the good news is there's going to be a big opportunity with COVID and the virtuality of everything to kind of do that. So that's sort of sidebar to my presentation. I'm seeing my clock is ticking, so I'll be brief on my presentation as well. So I've been in the employment, HR tech, and people space for 20 years. I've had several different ventures. I've been an entrepreneur for that amount of time. So I've walk through the valley of the shadow of death when it comes to the entrepreneurial journey. And what sort of is really stuck in my journey for the past 15 years is the notion of democratizing employment. And employment, if you haven't really looked at it from an economics perspective or from just a relational perspective or a game design perspective, when you do, it's actually a lot more interesting than you might think it is. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm just going to get into kind of what we're up to and why this matters to any of you. So we're building a next generation digital employment cooperative for compliant independent workforces. So to give a little bit of context to this, the way the industry of employment is going, if you look at the statistics around just the Gen Z population, it gives you the leading indicator of where everything's going. 53% of Gen Zers are already working full-time as freelancers. So the trend, even in COVID accelerating this, is more and more people are leaving what is traditional employment, and they're moving to this sort of fluid work situation. It's really it's actually a regression back to how employment used to be in 1908, where you had 88% of people self-employed or as tradespeople. So employment is really boring, okay? Payroll, compliance, paying taxes, all of this stuff is really boring. It's really the unsexy underbelly of necessary evils in everything that we do in our commercial experiences. But it is the single common thread, the one commercial activity that everybody does. Everybody globally does this. And when you think about where we are as an ecosystem, I've been in the blockchain and Web3 space since 2015. So I've been around, I'm sort of a senior citizen in the Ethereum space and relatively speaking. But when you talk about user adoption and making currency and democratic technology, distributed ledger technology available to people, and really seeing ecosystems that change the fabric of actually how we engage as societies, payroll is the single most important and foundational activity that will drive mass adoption in Web3. So if you haven't heard that before, you heard it here now, and I'm going to show you how this is foundationally going to be started with Opolis. So Opolis is a next generation employment ecosystem, enabling individuals total portability of employment and benefits while maintaining 100% compliance with state, federal, and international regulatory requirements for employment. So to illustrate this, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Emily. So she's been a freelancer for a long time, 6 years. She used to have a W-2 job, but really loves the flexibility. But she's found that she has zero purchasing power when it comes to like healthcare benefits and things like that. She doesn't like the state exchange opportunities. What she's paying is over $3,000 more for her health benefits than when she was a W-2 employee. She also has to cobble together service providers and technologies to help manage all of this stuff. She would love to get paid part of her paycheck in cryptocurrency, but can't. Doesn't know where to go to do that. And then she's got all of these revenue streams that she juggles at any one time, not to mention her 401ks that are floating in the ether space with no place to consolidate them. Now, joining the Opolis Commons, the employment commons that we've stood up, which is a limited cooperative association registered in the state of Colorado with digital governance on top, is saving her $3,000 a year by a one-stop shop. Plus it saves her 30% on her monthly cost in health insurance. Plus the plan is significantly better than what she can get as an individual. All the regulatory compliance issues, including AB5 out of California, are satisfied. So this is an important note for any prospective employers that might want to hire Emily, because they don't have to worry about compliance issues like AB5 in the state of California. That's going to be probably more of a problem on a national scale here sometime soon. And all of her pay sources come to one single W-2 paycheck. So it's basically recreating employment. Instead of having a B2B activity where the corporation dictates everything, Emily is 100% in control of all of her employment decisions, her purchasing decisions around healthcare, and all of her related benefits. So the benefits, as I mentioned, are comprehensive. It's just like you would be part of a regular employment company. Like if you had an employer who's going to provide you 401k and FSA or HSA accounts, health and wellness stipends, you can organize all of this on your own behalf. Then the services that are provided are also comprehensive. Like I said, one-stop shop. So whether it's payroll processing, compliance, or employment risk management, the Employment Commons basically takes the complexity of being a freelancer out of being a freelancer. So instead of sort of giving up the notion of safety and security to be independent, we're now providing safety and security along with the freedom and flexibility that independent contractors, gig workers, and freelancers really are passionate about. Now, comparing the competitive landscape and kind of what's been funded out there, everybody should know what a PEO is. If you don't, it's a professional employer organization. It's a centralized third party that provides services and legal designation of employer of record on behalf of corporations. But the 4 green lines that I've highlighted here, this is what's most important to highlight. This isn't a point solution. This isn't just, hey, we'll get you independent contractor benefits. This is a comprehensive employment cooperative that essentially moves the entire game of employment from B2C to from B2B to B2C. So none of the competition have these features because they're all focused on B2B. And they can't have these features because they're antithetical to how they're currently organized. So from a total addressable market standpoint, as I mentioned earlier, we got 160 million people just in the US economy actively working in the US labor market. In 1908, 88% of those were self-employed. By 2028, it's projected that 90 million of these people are going to be independent contractors and working independently. But the frameworks that we have just don't support this sort of migration back to the solopreneur. So why us? What's our team done that matters to like support all this? Well, we did found ETH Denver. We have deep connections in the Web3 space. We have 15 top projects collaborating as integrations, both primitives and natives, that we're using best of breed technology to really decentralize the entire experience for the individual. We've already got a current ARR in what we call total payroll CPV of $5.6 million. We've got revenues already, and we've got the experience. So, I mean, I've processed 35,000 W-2s in 36 US states, built and sold the 5th largest staffing company in the state of Colorado, and managed 1,400 people a week in that business. So rewards, probably the most interesting thing about this is not just like the reorganization of sort of the legal relationship between employer and employee, if you want to call it that. It's really how we're creating a dynamic value distribution model through tokenization. So we're creating a rewards program that will be launched early in 2021. Anybody who invests in the Opolis Trustee, which is where we're taking the investment, will be rewarded with these zero value tokens that will, if you follow things like Uniswap or others that essentially don't, and I can see my time is up on the presentation, but I'm going to go into the Q&A just a minute because I did the intro, if that's okay, Rich. We're creating a new system of value distribution. So whether you're a consumer of payroll or being an employee member of the Commons, or you're a staker, you can stake your tokens and restrict the supply in the market, or you can refer people to the Commons and earn tokens in addition. Now, we're not selling any tokens, so this is not an ICO. This is just a throw-in that you'll get, but ultimately we predict that the value of the rewards program from a market capitalization perspective is going to be ultimately the value that's represented in the marketplace. As I mentioned, our support in the ecosystem is really deep. We have, because of our work with ETH Denver, we've gotten to know literally the smartest and brightest people in the world around building decentralized organizations, Web3 technology, Ethereum, you name it. And we're very thrilled to have the support that we have. In addition, we've got additional partners kind of entering the conversation where we're doing API integrations with, for example, Request Network coming up to be able to invoice on behalf of the individual, their customers, and we're working with Lendroid to tokenize that and lend it to the market. It just as one example of things that we're doing. So our team, we're experienced in doing this, been there, done that, got a t-shirt. We understand Web3 technology. We've taken the time to understand the game design economics, and we've written an off-white paper if you're interested that you can check out at opolis.co. That's opolis.co. We also will be releasing our token paper in early October, so you can see how the economics of that work. But it's been, that paper has actually been about 18 months in process. So making sure that regulatorily we're in compliance, we're not doing anything that's going to create problems. And we really wanted to avoid, as many complexities as possible. So we're raising up to we've raised up just under 1.5 million in a Series Seed, along with some convertible notes. We're raising up to 5 million on a Series A preferred equity round. That will happen in Opolis Inc., which is the trustee to the Employment Commons, and where the token is launching. And our Q4 efforts are really about accelerating membership. We're live, we're open for business, and we have members coming in as we speak. And we're going to be accelerating that through the end of Q4 and really targeting independent contractor pools, freelancer pools, and doing some pilot projects with some of the companies potentially listed here. We're in the process of finalizing those now. So with that, I'll accept any questions you might have for me.
Okay, I see we have limited times for questions. I wanted to ask about if I am a freelancer and I become an employee because of the situation is much better. I can see that. How does that keep you from being, having to deal with the normal employment issues of somebody wants to sign up, not work, collect unemployment? Is that all covered in this system?
Well, yeah, because the person's technically employing themselves through their own LLC, which is elected an S Corp status. So the responsibility of the employment is actually on them. If they don't pay their payroll to themselves, then their employment ceases to exist. So they are qualified to file for unemployment should they want to do that. But as far as risk to the employment commons, there is none, because the economics directly come from the individual themselves through their own entity.
Good.
So we refer to this as self-sovereign employment. So we're pushing the risk where it should be, which is with the individual.
Could you specifically go through the fees for the users and how it's competitively attractive?
Yeah, so the fees right now is free for 12 months. So if you join the Commons as an employee member, there's no fees for 12 months, and it's never more than 1% of your total payroll volume. So if you, for example, put through $100,000 a year, it's $1,000 is your total cost. So as opposed to paying several $1,000s a year for a fragmented supply chain of services and things, you're going to save a bunch of money. Plus, as an example, I spoke to a gentleman yesterday in Texas who his Cobra is $1,300 a month just for himself. Mm-hmm. The cost of the same quality insurance, or this, on par, is about $400 for him through the Commons. So he's going to save $900 a month. So he's like, even if I have an extra tax return to file with an S Corp, I don't care. Like, I'm saving literally $1,000 a month almost on this, just on insurance.
How would it be competitively attractive as a business? And if, for instance, we're a venture studio, we're going to be spinning up a bunch of businesses. How would it be attractive for their staffs to use you?
Yeah, so what we're encouraging small businesses to do is really think about the risk that they're taking on with respect to employees. So we're offering a new roadmap to really keep a more fluid experience and less risk for small companies when it comes to employment. So for example, instead of hiring people, you would encourage them to become members of the Commons and then just create a B2B relationship with them. So they're just leasing their time. Members of the
Common become that space between independent contractors and employees that we've been looking for, even though legally right now we're using the term employees.
Right. It's really creating
something that goes in the middle between employee and independent contractor.
Right. Well, it becomes a B2B relationship. So they're no longer technically employees of whoever they're providing services for. So even in an independent contractor or classification sense of 1099, they're
I
not.
put that on. Literally everybody I hire ends up being directly a member of the Commons. I like it.
Yeah. Yep.
Great.
Looks like
I know we're out of time.
Yeah, no, and I can be reached at john@opolis.co or on Twitter at @PowlerJohn. And again, thank you for the opportunity, guys. I do appreciate the time and the space, and congratulations on a great event. So let me know how I can be of service.
Great.
Okay, wonderful.
We'll look for you in the chat.
Yeah, you got it.
So next up we have Seth. Hello, Seth. Welcome from Encore Green Environmental.
Hey, if you guys can hear me okay, thanks for having us on here. It's exciting to be part of the event this year. I know last year I was kind of just sitting out in the audience, so it's pretty cool to kind of show you what we're up to. As we mentioned, my name is Seth Frenthaway, and I'm the president of Encore Green Environmental Technology. And you know, I noted in the beginning when we were listening to Josh, he was talking about, you know, it's always good to be genuine, connect, and it's okay to suck, just show up. So I'll try to connect with the first two. I'll probably do the third, but hopefully we'll end up with something that everybody appreciates at the end. I'm a fourth generation Cheyenne, Wyoming native. I grew up in Cheyenne. I went to all my schooling in Cheyenne. I even went over to the university, moved away for a while when I was in the military, and then came back and, you know, wanting to just do something that really be a difference for the world. You know, you can go out and you can create a widget here or there, but you know, is how long lasting is that going to be? And so it was really important to me to be involved in something. I think Encore Green does that. I think you will think so too when we're done here, but in no way does anything in Encore Green happen on its own. There's 6 other players that we've got on our team. Our co-founder or founder is Marvin Nash. Marvin is kind of the brain trust behind the idea of what we call conservation by design, which I'll get to in just a little bit. We've also got on our team a fellow named Jeff Holder. He's our general manager, and he kind of handles some of our communication stuff. Has been involved in out in LA and doing a lot of things for Sony Wonder in the past, and so he's got to bring some experience to the table. Also on our team is a fellow named John Robitaille, who was the vice president of the Petroleum Association for quite some time, and so brings quite a bit of experience in our energy partnerships. And then another fellow named Darren Smith, who is our one of our tech experts on water. And then we also have an angel investor that works with our company. It's owned by Darlene Nash. It's owned 100% by her. And Encore Green Environmental is an agriculture company. And what we do is we repurpose oil field byproduct water into agriculture. And we do that by working first and foremost with the steward of the land. So we really kind of are representing the landowner in that. And so what is byproduct water? Well, for every barrel of oil that comes out of the ground, there's anywhere from 4 to 7 barrels of water that comes with it all the time. And that's not just when we're talking about any of our fracking operations or development. That's just all the time it's coming out, and it either has to be disposed of, thrown away, whatever. It needs to have something done with it. And some of the methods that are being used right now are not real sustainable for the long term. And we've come up with a solution for that. And right now, when we work with our agriculture partners, I've got the Stock Growers Association little symbol here behind me because we partnered with the Wyoming Stock Growers Association in this initiative to kind of help our agriculture producers get a little bit of help during droughts and be better steward of our water. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is play a quick video that really outlines it, and then we'll take some questions afterwards. I'm cheating a little bit here, I know, going with the video, but when you got good help who can create this stuff, you do it. So here it goes.
Very wise ancient Aristotle said, "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." Who knew he was talking about Wyoming? For too long, we've all just been doing our own thing without connecting our communities. Now, it's time to change all that. When these 3, sometimes rival groups come together, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Wyoming gets a total ecological solution. And Encore Green Environmental brings these stakeholders together. Let's quickly look at these one at a time. The #1 challenge facing Wyoming agriculture is lack of water. Because if you haven't noticed, it's dry out here. Low precipitation means dry, unhealthy soil, limited vegetation, less livestock, less wildlife. But by adding a new source of water, the soil becomes healthy. The vegetation, livestock, and wildlife thrive. But where is this water? Buffalo Bill couldn't find it. Hold that thought. Last year in Wyoming alone, the energy industry threw away over 70 billion gallons of water. This byproduct produced water comes out of the oil well. It's not suitable for ag, so it goes unused. But if you treated the water to what the soil needs and regulators require, those billions of gallons could be put to beneficial use, creating healthier soils and cleaner air. Cleaner air from the soil? How's that? Well, hold that thought. In case you've missed it, the environmental community want to clean the air by removing carbon, which comes from fossil fuels. But what if nature had a way to clean the air already? You see, when you combine water on healthy soil with sunshine, you get nature's air cleaner. Photosynthesis. Everyone wins. Agriculture increases its yield, conservation expands, wildlife thrives, oil companies recycle their water, air quality is improved. How do we do this? You, the announcer.
Encore Green Environmental puts nature's own carbon cleaning system to work through its patent pending process, Conservation by Design. Here's how it works. First, we scientifically test the soil to determine what it needs for optimal vegetation growth. That's the first piece of data we need. Now, when crude oil comes out of the oil well, 3 to 5 times the amount of byproduct water also comes out. That's the new source of water for photosynthesis. So next, we test that water to understand its makeup. After testing, we now know both the soil's needs and the current state of the water. We then clean the water to match the soil specs, right there, in proximity to the water source. The now clean water is tested again to assure it's ideal for the soil. Then, the clean water is applied to the ground. The dry soil is watered and vegetation starts to grow. And then, that's when nature's technology gets to work. Through photosynthesis, oxygen is released into the air, and carbon dioxide is pulled out of the air. The carbon dioxide goes into the vegetation, and then is locked away in the root system and surrounding soil. The industrial byproduct water is then used for something good. The soil is taken care of by erosion being mitigated. Vegetation grows, and the climate improves because carbon is removed. That's conservation by design.
And what pulls all of this data together to execute, track, and report in a publicly transparent way with complete accountability? Blockchain. We manage a mountain of data across 3 groups: the Carbon Asset Network, Ag Water Soil Solutions, and Encore Green Environmental. Contact us when you're ready to be a part of the total ecological solution. Because Aristotle was right.
So you guys, I thought one other thing I'll do is just kind of show you. We mentioned a little bit in the video about the Carbon Asset Network and Ag Water Soil Solutions, and those are the two main areas where we would be looking for to build out some infrastructure as well as some marketing and those kind of things. So if I got a second, I got a minute here. It looks like. Where do I share it under this new? Oh, it's up here. Sorry about that. Let me get the new screen. This here is our Ag Water Soil Solutions site. I don't know if it's showing there. Doesn't look like it is. Is it showing?
Yep.
Okay, so Ag Water Soil Solutions is where we kind of track everything. Basically what we needed to do in order to navigate the regulatory pathway was to create a batching system so that we had complete traceability and transparency of what we were doing with the water from the time we got it until the time we put it on the ground, and frankly after, because we got to monitor the soil too. So in this, there's a sample project here that kind of displays how we would keep track of every batch, not only keep track of the batch, but what was the constituency in the batch. And all of these different types of data sets we're collecting will create a mountain of data that can also be translated into quantifying and verifying things like carbon capture and soil health improvement. I'm not sure how much time I have left, but I think that's enough to get us started for any questions.
All right.
And thank you.
Thank you, Seth. So you're touching on all this data, and you know, how is the blockchain being used here?
Well, as I mentioned, that we're really kind of doing it as a supply chain type mechanism. Really, what we do is when we collect all of our data, what we wanted to do is have a proof of work aspect for the data. And so that's why we decided to put it on and use blockchain technology. And then with all of that working together, what we're looking to do is work with our government regulators to help create automatic reporting to them on water quality status, different soil health conditions, those types of things. And then because all of that data is be stored on the blockchain, we can effectively source that and analyze it for carbon sequestration, verification, and proof. Not to mention that on top of all of this, our goal is to manage all of our interactions with our working partners, be it being ag producers or energy producers, or even in the case of, I mean, with Encore Green Environmental, we're really kind of a business to business type relationship. But as we improve soil health, we really do end up creating a product really that can be marketed to consumers. And so when we start moving from that, when we start managing our relationships and our business to business relationships, we want to do that with smart contracts, et cetera. And then that will also translate onto a larger scale when we start trying to do that with our consumer.
What's the benefit of using a blockchain in this solution?
So as I mentioned, really with first and foremost is transparency and a proof of work aspect in what we're doing. Because as you can imagine, if you're taking what is considered to be a hazardous waste and you're cleaning it up so that it can be put to use, there's concerns that go along with that. So that helps us with the transparency with the public. And then, you know, always whenever you're managing your account management and those kind of things are going to be beneficial there. What I will say, and this I didn't really touch on too much, but this goes into the Carbon Asset Network, and we'd be happy to kind of help explain a little bit more of what we're looking to do to incentivize soil health improvement in agriculture and get the consumer involved, and really through our smart contracts. And that way, like I say, it really helps cut down on that management cost between the producer of the asset to the person who is buying it on the end. When we looked at, for example, with cap and trade markets, we find that 50% of the money that a grower would have got from their efforts, it ends up going to the middleman. And so if we can use smart contracts to manage that, we'll actually be able to save our clients more money and provide a better service.
Okay, so that's really what I was looking for is where's the money?
Seth, yeah. I know we've got some questions here asking about, you know, what you're going to do something. The actions are taken by the landowner, the grower, whatever. How much are you a data company versus a service implementing things?
I think we're both of those. I mean, we're definitely providing a service. I think that really the data that we're collecting, once that we become more of a data company as we end up with as our data sets grow. For example, we're collecting all the soil types and soil information out with our ag producers. And as that information is gathered in and can be relied upon, we actually become a better source than even the USDA and the NRCS. Because when we're talking about with like our agronomist, our in-house agronomist, and Neil is always saying, you know, you can go and look at the NRCS and the USDA sites, but you need to go get an actual sample and see what's out there because some of the data is just not really reliable. And then as these
another way is, are you guys out on the tractor doing something, or you've got sensors that are collecting the information and supplying it to the farmer?
Both, but we do try to rely on some of the automated technology. We do have sensors that are out there. As a matter of fact, and out on our site right now, we've got soil probes out there monitoring moisture and all that data. because we have to constantly monitor that after. So that's something that's all going to just come into a mountain of data that, like I say, we'll be able to document, prove, and verify any carbon capture.
And then what percentage of it is your data versus the data you're aggregating with from other sources?
All the data that we're pulling in is, I mean, on our site, we do reference data that we're pulling in from all the different state agencies, namely the oil and gas commissions that give us, amounts of water produced, those kind of things. But everything else, the stuff that we're actually storing, that's all ours. All of it is coming to us. It's not something you really can access.
Great. I know that the networking, just on that level, there's a lot of possibilities for partnerships. And I'll follow up with you on that.
That would be great. We'd love to have a conversation.
What's next, Rich?
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
And also, we'll put the contact information for you in the chat as well.
Perfect.
And with that, let's bring Josh Denny back up with us, and we'll close this out. So you can have Warren and Josh.
And we have some networking available too, right? We have another. If you look into the chat window, you'll see another Zoom link where it's open and everyone can participate, and that's probably open now, but we're going to close this out, so maybe a minute before some of us get there.
Okay. Yeah, so just in review, we've had Unbiased, we had Opolis, and Encore Green Environmental. Happy to have them with us for our inaugural event. We will be having more of these events on either a monthly or a bi-monthly basis as we get ourselves settled and past this Wyoming blockchain stampede. So happy to have you all with us. In closing, I think we just are moving over to the networking. Is that correct, Warren?
Right, yes. It's ready now. Well, you should say for anybody leaving or whatever, bitangels.network to find out more about BitAngels and the Stampede. You want to give out a URL just in case somebody didn't get it.
Wyohackathon.io.
Okay, great. And then I'm off to the networking.